This week, mother.
Here's the question. Who do you think left the cocaine at the White House?
Hunter Biden or Trump.
Who left it there?
Sorry, I was wrong with that.
I'm not using anybody's name.
This week has been one of the busiest weeks I've had in a while.
Are you recording?
Yeah, we're good.
Oh.
But I have to shove you a little bit. I'm just going to give you the tilt, but...
Are we going to pretend like this is the first time I've seen you all week?
Yeah. It kind of feels like it because I slept for most of the day yesterday. I was telling people about for those of you that were in that stream, I did the whole New Hampshire trip, which everyone knew about, but I didn't really give the story as to why we went up. There's a couple of reasons why, but one of the things we had to do was bring back lumber. And it was like Dad saw it today because we went over again to my uncle's house. Lincoln logs. It's like a human Lincoln log, which is cool, but I got my first taste of real traffic. A 4.5. So going up from New Jersey to New Hampshire took 4.5 hours. The way back took 8.5 hours, and it was a nightmare.
Yep.
There was not enough music to go around. We almost died once, and yeah.
But you made it.
That was also the first time I've ever hauled anything of that size, like to the point where like there's certain roads you're not allowed to take.
You're acting like you did it though.
I know.
Uncle
I just slept.
did the whole thing. You drove
I didn't sleep at all, but
you worked the GPS.
I worked the GPS. There was a couple times where I was dozing off.
You were the co-pilot, the wingman.
Well, the night before, so we got to the hotel at probably like 9-ish. Went to bed at 9-ish. I'm sorry, we got to the hotel at 9. Beautiful hotel. It was just a Courtyard Marriott or whatever it was called in New Hampshire. Shout out. Then we hit the bar with Uncle, the hotel bar, which was fun.
Of course.
And then we talked about some of the stuff that we're doing business wise. And then we probably went to bed at, I'd say like 11:30. Kenny and I had that room so cold, 60. I don't know if my body was just like not. I slept in half an hour increments up until 6:30.
Oh, I would
so
think
I ended up waking up.
The cold. Oh.
No, we were only there for a day.
Yeah, or night.
A night. So it wasn't that bad, but like when that 4th hour of the drive hit, it was like, oh man. Also, we didn't have enough straps, so we had to. So we had a Ford F-150. Which is 2 tons, right? I'm sorry. 2 tons, so 4,000 pounds. On top of that, we had another 7,000 pounds of wood on the back, right, with the trailer. But we had a total of 2 straps. And we looked at this. Uncle Kenny and I looked at each other. We were like, this is not. We went to Walmart twice in one day to get more straps.
But you had the chains. He used the chains, right?
But it was kind of... No, we actually ended up not using the chains. You know what we used the chains for? The chains weren't long enough. So we ended up using...
Uncle Ray!
So the reason that we...
told you!
Here's where they did come in clutch, though. We strapped from one end of the trailer to the other. So if this is the trailer bed...
Yes.
We took the chains from here to here, so we had stuff to hook to.
Oh, okay.
Which is smart.
Yeah, that's good.
So Kenny had a good play. I could tell Kenny and I were on like no brain cells. I could tell that this took everything out of Kenny. So the hook wouldn't hook in.
You had to sleep after that. You got in the back seat.
Basically, yeah. So the hook was too fat for the actual hook area, which is kind of hard to explain. But so Kenny, I
was too fat for the hook on the.
So
on
so
the
it was
okay.
too long.
Yeah.
Right. And we couldn't get the hook through to make the chain shorter, so to re-hook it through the loop.
Yeah.
So Kenny came up with the genius idea. He took the hook off, and we had not bungees, like carabiners, if you will.
Okay.
And hooked it all the way through and made it super tight so that we had something to latch onto. Oh. So that I could tell that took all of Kenny's brain power to do. Because later on, like when the tire incident happened, we like Kenny couldn't figure out what happened, I guess, and so I could tell he was fried. But so when we're leaving the place, when you crank down those things, there's extra slack. So we probably had like each one was probably an extra 10 feet of slack, and we just kind of left it like that, which was a bad idea. Yeah. When we got out there, we didn't realize it, but the excess got underneath the tire outside of the car, and the torque caused the thing to tilt a little bit, so literally go off the ground. If we were going on the highway and that happened, that could have been catastrophic. But we dodged a bullet on that one. That's when Uncle was like, back to Walmart because we're getting more straps. So we got more straps, and then it took us, we left probably 12:30. We got back at 8:30, 9-ish. So it was just traffic after traffic. And we went towards the city, which was a mistake.
Well, and your timing was bad too, because you were on the road at prime time when all the
horrible.
Everywhere you went, you were
horrible. And when you have 10,000 pounds,
can't go fast.
You can't go fast.
You can't do big turns.
There's certain roads and bridges you can't take, so you have to avoid them. Yep. It was a pain in all facets.
Well, that's why I invited you, because if the stuff fell off, you two would have been out on the highway gathering.
Well, the eating was good, though. We did. I sent a picture in Discord to all the viewers, but night before, right? So we left. What time did we leave? We left at like 3:30 on Wednesday.
Yeah.
McDonald's right off the bat.
Hold on. You left with a tray of chocolate chip cookies that I made and a box of Ritz peanut butter crackers.
Kenny ordered those. We didn't touch those. Kenny was like, Kenny didn't even offer until the way home when he was packing dough.
He was like a gerbil in the back seat. It's eating.
We were having full meals, like the Burger King or McDonald's. I mean, we went to town. That was our way up. Then we did the bar, so that wasn't great. And Uncle was like, "You want dessert?" So we did that. Let me tell you something. Overpriced dessert it was literally
a Marriott. Yeah,
it was literally the crappy. Hey, Marriott, hear me out. It was the crappiest brownie I've ever seen with just like one boring scoop of ice cream on it. I was like, thanks, $8. So.
But you got it at a bar?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, what do you expect, you know?
And then the next morning, I think Kenny manifested this one because he saw the night before on the way up the Denny's that we ended up accidentally going to. So he was like.
He had his eye on that.
Yeah. So we go to Denny's the next morning. And Denny's, let me tell you something. The pancakes at Denny's, I understand that they're known for their pancakes. It's got a weird taste to it. It's not like a normal.
I don't think I've had their pancakes.
Yeah, maybe it was just that one specifically. It's that New Hampshire water that goes into it. I bet.
There's different waters, different places, but
So,
I don't know them for their
Everything
they're not IHOP.
Yeah,
IHOP's known for their pancakes. I don't know about Denny's.
Yeah, I don't
the Grand
know.
Slam breakfast, maybe? Is that Denny's?
That's what your boy got.
Yeah,
so,
okay.
I can tell you that's what I got. And then we went to, so for all of our New Hampshire fans, there's a gas station up there called it's like a NASU, N-A-S-U or something like that. It's a gas station system that has a restaurant inside of it. It's like almost like a Subway, but a little higher end. I got this Angus wrap that was delicious. I've never had an Angus wrap. It was only $1 more than anything else on there. I was like, yeah, I'll send it. So we did that.
Audience, understand, I don't think they would have gone among the 24 total hours.
We
went to 5
in the hotel for a total of 7 hours. That was it. That was just to sleep.
That was more like the restaurants. How many times did you eat 24-hour period?
So then I also grabbed a Three Musketeers. And then I also grabbed
come on.
Uncle and I split them every time, right? So then on the way back, we hit an Applebee's because it was dinner time and we had to check the straps. That was a factor. It was like, hey, let's check the straps, and while we're at it.
Right, so Chris is announcing today that he's on a very strict diet.
Yeah, for the next couple weeks.
For the couple weeks?
Couple weeks.
Okay.
Yeah. With all the cardio I'm doing, I
all right.
So
big difference. You're gonna recognize him in the podcast 56.
Yeah, it was 54. So
2 weeks.
All in all, and then we got home. I didn't post any videos last week last week, except for the podcast with Alan, Kenny, and those guys. So I started editing when we got home on Thursday night, and then I just had nothing in me. I had to sleep, and then I slept till like 12 the next day. I was so tired. And then Thursday I edited. Friday yesterday I couldn't finish it. Friday yesterday I edited most of it, and then today I just posted it an hour ago. So.
Oh, the podcast with those guys?
No.
Oh, something else. Oh, okay.
Luckily I had some in storage, but I haven't had anything to record.
Oh.
Like I haven't at the time. So, all in all, it was a crazy week. And then today I went back.
That was good.
To my uncle's to build an IKEA shelf. Essentially, we were supposed to help with the wood, but by the time I got there, my uncle's phone did the weirdest thing. I've never seen this on an iPhone, but it bricked so hard that none of the apps. So he can move his screen left and right. He couldn't open any messages. He can use Siri, but it wouldn't open anything. It wouldn't do anything it told him. So luckily, Kenny looked up. There's a way to force reset an iPhone, like force power it down. I thought they got rid of it.
Oh, you got to do the side button, then the top, then the bottom, then you hold it.
Yeah,
Mike just did that recently. Yeah, Mike had to do that a couple times.
I thought they got rid of that. So I think back in the day, it used to reset your phone completely, like in the sense of it was almost like a factory restore, which that's if you're doing that to people, that's a real
then they have to start everything. But
So,
well, Mike texted me today, and he said the Penn State football tickets come out on Tuesday for the seniors. You know, they
they get them
stagger it. So he wanted me to remind him. And I texted him, and I said, well, what I'll do is I'll put an alert on my iPhone. You should get one of those. You could do it, too, which is a joke because he just got the iPhone 14 Pro.
Oh, did he?
Blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking it probably has more functionality. He says he used it, but he wanted a backup just in case.
We have to do the calculation on how many. Michael has definitely had more iPhones than any of us, but I'm curious as to how many.
Well, interesting, though. We looked up the last one he had. That was refurbished. He bought it online. Only lasted a year. But it was very cheap.
Okay.
You know, like it was ridiculously cheap. But still, because I wanted to know. I go, well, he was going to get another refurbished. He wound up upgrading a phone.
Since the iPhone came out in 2006, whatever, I've only had 3 iPhones total.
Okay. Well, are you poor? Are you poor, little boy? Are you poor?
And I'm the only one that doesn't have a cracked anything.
Go fund me for Chris.
Nothing on it. Yeah, go fund me. Yeah. Guys, my 10's not good enough. I need the 14.
Go fund me. You need a new iPhone.
But I have not seen the news all week.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on in the world. I know we talked about it. Uncle had AM radio on, so we were listening to some of the news, but it was nothing. It was all who had the cocaine in the White House.
Yeah, exactly.
Sort of deal.
Exactly. I mean, it's just a rehash of blah blah blah.
Yeah, I tried grabbing some things.
I saw. We're not going to talk about it here, but Tucker Carlson wants to start a new media company with the other guy. Patel is his name, who he did Daily Caller with.
Cash Patel?
No, it's not Cash Patel. It's another Patel, and he's got funding for it. You know, he's $100 million, but he also interviewed all the candidates on the Republican side.
Is he getting us on there? What's the talk?
I don't know. Well, we're not running for office, but it was interesting. It was good. That got a lot of attention on the sites that I look at because he did slots with each candidate for them to speak, and he asked them certain questions. And that's the only thing I saw. You know, the U.S. government was appealing the decision from Missouri versus Missouri versus Biden. You know, the censorship.
Oh, yeah.
Where the judge put in temporary, says you cannot talk to social media. The government cannot do that.
Right.
The government appealed it, and there's actually a court that said no, they can censor.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird one.
But it's going to go even higher up to
you also saw that he managed to
Fifth Circuit Court. I believe.
You managed to see that $86 billion just got forgiven in college debt. Did you see that one?
I did, but when you look at the details, I don't really understand what the point was. It's if you've had a loan for 20 to 25 years. So
it
he's
helps
trying
those who have been paying for many, many years already. It's not like a
I know, but he's trying to pander to the younger people for votes.
Right.
That's not the younger people.
Doesn't affect them at all, yeah.
Those are, 20, 25 years paying off a student loan, which, by the way, how genius was that, giving that kind of loan to somebody who's basically had a mortgage for their student loan?
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, 25 years later, paying off a student loan. I mean, are you a doctor, a lawyer? How big
young to him is anyone in their 50s, right? So,
right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure his group is trying to target the youngers, like 30 and under, maybe even 35 and under. But that was the whole point of the student loan debt, to get the younger people to vote for him. And it worked in the midterms. It helped to boost the cause of midterms. But anyhow, when you look at the parameters, it's roughly 800,000 people, I think it affects, which sounds like a lot. I don't know, maybe it is, but 20, 25 years, that's not most people Yeah. They still have to pay their debt. Which I'm fine with. And trust me, people are outraged over that, just the 20 people for 20, 25 years. I'm outraged too, but it's why I'm looking at it like the stupidity of it is mind-boggling.
I'd be curious to see how much debt they have left after the 50 years. I'd like
We're
to
talking
see
about after the 50
so,
years.
like the people who are 25 years, I should say.
Yeah.
The ones that were 20.
Their outstanding balances?
What I mean is they're probably about 50 now.
What do you mean 50? Oh, 50 in age.
Right,
That's
50 in age.
Oh, I didn't know what you're talking about.
So, like, I hope that they were close to finishing it out.
I have no idea. It's. I'll look at the statistics. I'm sure some will come out as they actually go through it. Probably somebody's going to put a lawsuit out there and say you can't do it. I don't know.
Well, hopefully it doesn't burn them. Speaking of burning, Death Valley could approach. See that transition? I'm getting so good at these transitions, guys. My transitions are unfathomable.
Yep. Well, I didn't do much with Death Valley because it's funny. The story that...
Are you telling me I transitioned into a shit article?
No. The reason why I threw that one in there, because ironically, I saw that one. I'm like, all right, everybody knows it's hot, right? Here we are in December. I threw it in there because of my other article about how cold it is in the southern hemisphere. So South Africa had snow, and it's below freezing. Australia's having very bad ice down there, and very, very chilly. Zimbabwe, where else? Asia, India. India's had snow. So, I mean, obviously it's their winter now because they're tilted away from the sun.
This is where I get a little...
We are tilted. Asia, you know, the Asia.
Yeah.
Southern hemisphere.
I have to see where the equator is. So here's the equator, right? What?
Whoopsie. That's Spain.
Map of Spain. I'm getting mad. Google world or whatever. Google, what's it called? Google Earth. There we go.
Google?
Again, it's been a long week. Google Earth. Here we go. So I don't know how much this will help me here, but at least it gives you guys a good visual if you can see it. But
what is this?
Google Earth. It's just
oh, he's going to take you to the actual Earth, or to the actual area of the globe. Okay.
So I'm trying to think. So if here's the equator,
roughly.
Okay. Does it give me the equator? No. Let's see. We're gonna figure this out together, team. Where's the? Is this it? Measured distance area? Does it?
I don't know if this shows it to you, but so all this area, obviously, this area is still.
I feel like a meteorologist. This is what you're talking about, right?
Right. So I think the equator is higher up, but
way higher. I think the equator is like here.
So. All the area near the equator, obviously.
See the desert? That's where the equator is.
Obviously, near the equator, the Earth doesn't tilt that much. It's very slight, so you don't have much temperature, climate change, okay?
Right.
But for those of us right now, we are in our summer season in the northern hemisphere because the Earth is tilted closer to the sun as we spin. And it's very, very hot near the equator, but then warmer as you go up. This part of the world, the southern hemisphere, is tilted away from the sun right now. So as it rotates, it's colder. But they're having unusually cold temperatures. So South Africa, polar air all this week. The coastal areas are cold. The higher elevations are having frost. They had a very rare snowfall in Zimbabwe and South Africa.
But I don't know why that's not common. You see what I'm saying? Like they're pretty.
It's very, very cold.
But
so they're normally cool. But like this
but I wouldn't be surprised if they're. Why would they? Why is it weird that they're having snow? If the equator's over here and we get snow in New Jersey, and they're way further from the equator.
Because they usually don't get it because of where they're located and they're not that far down. So it's not normal for them to get this much cold, like a cold snap. Similar to our situation where it's hot, but it is ridiculously hot in some parts of the country, like Arizona, Texas, I think some of the areas. And that's why I posted that other story. Arizona and Death Valley was incredibly hot. So I wanted to show the contrast, the northern hemisphere versus the southern hemisphere.
So northern hemisphere right now, it could approach 130 degrees Fahrenheit.
Well, that's in Arizona.
Yeah.
Which is closer to the equator, and it's, out in the Midwest.
Then South Africa.
Right. Rare
snowfall hits Johannesburg.
Johannesburg.
Slams northern India to rescue 300 trapped tourist villages of Aussie hit by brutal cold snap.
Yeah, big cold snap in all these areas, and I just thought that was kind of interesting. Even North India.
Hold on a minute. Coastal regions are struggling to climb above 50 degrees Fahrenheit. That's like that's tank top weather here.
I know. Wow.
It sounds like these people are just complaining.
But I guess in the coast they're not used to that cold. I guess it's usually warmer. Okay. Australia's having an awful cold snap as well. So it's just showing some contrast of the different parts of the world and the snow that they're not used to have. I mean, whoever thinks of South Africa having snow? I don't think that's common anytime.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I don't know. Adjust, adapt, overcome.
Well, it's interesting. It happens.
God forbid the kids build an igloo for once in a while.
Which I could then segue into my other story about the climate change fraud.
Where are we going? The Nobel, one, the Nobel Peace Prize guy?
Yeah, Dr. Clauser.
Oh, we're just moving quick tonight.
So, Dr. Clauser, he's Nobel Peace Prize winner in physics. He's working on some quantum physics things, but he is an expert also. He's doing modeling for climate change. Mm-hmm. And He spoke at the Quantum Korea 2023 whatever meeting, and he feels there's no real climate crisis. I tell you all this, you can have your own opinion, but it's like, calm down, people. There's not a crisis. It's been exaggerated and misunderstood by about 200 times in his opinion. He accuses the International Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC, for spreading misinformation. I think the IPCC is the one that most of them go to for their data. And now you have this expert saying, you know what, the data's flawed, and it's flawed badly, and
but
everybody's basing it.
Like this was.
We did, but this is another interesting person who's saying it again. Somebody who has chops, right? Who seems to know what he's talking about. What I thought was interesting in the article of this discussion, and maybe I'm not that well versed in it, but everything helps. He points to the cumulus clouds, and he reminds people at this conference and all of us that the cumulus clouds, what they do is they reflect back about 90% of the sunlight that hits the Earth. So that protects us. And CO2, which everybody screams, CO2 is so bad, we got to cut CO2 emissions. He says they're actually very good, because the CO2 emissions is what goes into creating these clouds.
What does this Nobel Peace Prize winner know, Mom?
Well, exactly. Right?
Who are we going to go by?
His studies,
Al Gore or a Nobel Peace Prize winner?
His studies provide strong evidence of no climate crisis and that CO2 is good for the environment. He's very critical of policies being based on climate crisis, and that they really aren't helping the humans trying to raise the standard of living. They're doing the opposite, which we're seeing with these Green New Deal initiatives and whatnot. They're not really changing much, and it's only hurting more people. His climate model has the cumulus clouds, I was saying, they reflect like 90%. Where there are no clouds, what happens? Well, we know the sunlight causes the water to evaporate, and any water in the area creates the cumulus clouds. So nature has a way of creating their own blockage for the huge amount of sun that's hitting us. So for all these people that are saying, and by the way, the IPCC even agreed with that about the clouds. Even they said it's good to have these cumulus clouds. They get it that that they are helpful. These clouds are very helpful in helping the environment, and CO2 is part of generating these clouds.
Oh, so Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change is what it stands for.
The IPCC.
The IPCC.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But what does this change? It's going to change nothing. We're still going to be forced to give billions and billions of dollars to Al Gore and his climate change.
Well, I still think it's another person of chops. The problem that maybe it's not, it's the orchestrated problem is they're basing, many of these quote-unquote experts base their data on something that is flawed. I think it came from the IPCC. And they won't fix the underlying data because it blows up the whole argument about
I think I said this before, but when I was in college,
hot.
I remember when I was in college, probably my junior year, was when that article came out about how all the underlying data that we've had for years and what we've been building all of our theses on was wrong, right? So, and then no one heard of it, but I remember it was a pretty big deal for a week, and then everyone forgot about it. So it doesn't surprise me. Again, most of my left friends who were like super pro climate and stuff, even they're like, yeah, I mean, I'll help as much as I can, but I know that it's not as bad as guys like Al Gore make it.
Right. And how many times do people have to hear that the world's coming to an end, and it doesn't? You know, not to say you don't care for the environment, et cetera, but I think
my whole thing is the fact that we make up 13% of pollution, which again 13% is a lot, but in order to make any real change you have to have more than 60-75% be on board for that, right? To really make a change. China's not changing anytime soon. We know that for a fact. Russia couldn't give two shits.
Well, the irony is for all the climate change people, if you really wanted to make a difference, they should vote for somebody, say like a Trump, because he will hold China accountable economically. He could put the screws to China and say, you have to cut your emissions or we're not going to trade. Well, everybody would blow up if you did that, you know, companies and whatnot. But that's how you actually affect change. You got to go to these countries that are we don't cause much problems at all, considering how active our country is in our economy.
That we know of.
Well, I mean, compared to other countries that have no safeguards.
Yeah, no, that's true. I just wonder how... can you say that to China in the sense of when you think of how much we kind of rely on China, I would almost argue that our best thing is our military power, where their best thing is the production of goods. Because they know no one's really going to mess with them as long as they're making goods. See what I'm saying? Like between silicone.
They make goods because we've allowed it.
Right. But
so the irony is, and it's like the elephant in the room. We could shut the not Chinese people, the Communist Party down in a month's time because they are so reliant on us. But they own too many corporations, schools, businesses, politicians. They boast about it. Nobody hides it anymore. That, they don't have to do a thing.
No.
And if we criticize them, they have in the past come back and criticize us in return. So it's almost, I don't want to say it's pointless because, everybody has to do his part. As a nation, we need to do our part. But it's certainly not at the point where, the world's going to come to an end and this crisis is getting ridiculous. We're changing policies. And to this man's point, Sum and Substance is not bettering the standard of living for so many people around the world. And that's the whole point of fixing the climate, to help people who live on the planet and to preserve the planet. It's not doing that. So, another notch.
What sucks is that it's not going to go anywhere. This isn't going to be. Also, this guy won 2 years ago. I don't think he didn't win again, right? He's just one of.
It's not something he won. He won the Nobel Prize in 2022. But he joined the CO2 coalition. So they're doing studies and whatnot as part of this coalition. And he was speaking at the South Korean conference. And this is what he talked about. This is what we're finding as part of the CO2, his studies for CO2. It's part of this coalition.
Well, now we're trying to move more towards methane, which I'm wondering how that's going to do. Because we're finding out now that we can convert CO2 to methane.
Mm-hmm.
And methane is pretty good for the environment, apparently.
Can you use it as a gas, methane?
Yeah, you use it. It's basically a better way of cutting down the emissions. So I shouldn't say it helps the environment, as in like the actual air quality and whatever, but it does prevent the actual greenhouse gases.
Are you sure? Because I thought that's why they want to get rid of all the cows, because of the methane that they emit.
Right, but there's a way that you can convert it to a methane. It's not the same methane. It's apparently there's different versions of methane.
Okay.
So didn't know that, but
if it works, I'm all for it.
I don't know,
but the funny part, as an aside, like the electric cars and whatnot. If electric cars were profitable and good and made money because everybody wanted it, supply and demand, car companies would have made them a long time ago before the government mandated it.
Well, in reality, they're not that environmentally friendly.
They're not, and that's why
people don't factor in. You still, even though you don't have to pay for gas anymore, which has never been a problem. Gas has never been people did it because of it started as the helping the environment, which sure. And then it became, now we don't have to waste the precious resource of gas and oil. Problem is, there's so much gas and oil, we'll never have to worry about that. It's always recycling. Like, I saw a thing on how much gas it takes to make a room's full of gasoline, and it's like this much.
Yes.
It's insane. So gas is not going to be an issue right now.
America was energy independent, and the world can't have that.
And the problem with the Teslas, and not that it's a problem, it's just you got to understand what you're getting into. Just because you're not using gas anymore, there's still something powering whatever charges up the Tesla in your house or wherever you go.
Yeah.
So that's still burning the fossil fuels that you're trying to prevent
right.
at an even faster rate. Or probably, I shouldn't say faster because I don't know that factually, but I got to believe it's probably about as close as if you were just to burn gas anyway.
Well,
so you're really just paying for an
in the height of the electric vehicle, everybody has to have them, and we're getting rid of all gas cars. What was that, like a year and a half ago? They were pushing it, and we're going to mandate it, and by 20-something, there will be no gas cars in New York City, blah, blah, blah. Toyota came out and said they're not economical.
Yeah.
And Toyota hasn't been pushing it. I mean, I think they've started recently. They did one token car, probably to meet the requirements, but I just saw a headline this week where they've said the hype is not worth it. It's not cost effective for the owner of the car to have an electric car.
Right.
And this is what the Green New Deal, this was stated, in the time when Al Gore was just starting. People saying, look, the energy industry is a capitalist industry. Yes, they want to make money, but they're going to do that by, if there's a way to do things cheaper and better, of course they're going to do it. But they haven't figured that out yet. Or what we're using is working. And then we had this explosion with electric. And everyone scratched their head saying, well, this is pretty obvious. Well, that's why. It doesn't work. Right. The cars are heavier. They're ruining the roads because of the structure you need. Charging it is a joke, to your point, because you got to use energy to charge it. Right. And there's just a myriad of things that they keep pushing dumb. They keep pushing stupid, and it just doesn't make sense. But human beings are fairly logical in the sense that they'll do it if it makes sense. Nothing about this makes sense. So anyhow, but speaking of the environment, I can segue to my other
one. You went full anti-climate today.
You're all about the climate.
You went full anti-climate. This is going to give me a thing for it. But how should I feel safe? Japan's dumping of radioactive Fukushima water stirs fear, anger.
Yeah, nothing could go wrong with that, right? When you start dumping the nuclear power plant wastewater.
Is that what it's from?
Yes. So they want to discharge the water from the Fukushima nuclear plant this summer. So they're probably doing it now. South Korea, Japan, a lot of the Asian countries are naturally very upset. 3/4 of South Korea say they will not eat fish anymore, or they will eat less of it. And on top of that, they're stockpiling sea salts because you get that out of the sea.
Right.
In 2011, their 3 nuclear reactors melted down at Fukushima Nuclear Power Plant. Now, when that happens, there was an earthquake and a tsunami, right? It was bad. When that happens, you now have to cool those things down with water, which I guess they always have to do, but they need a lot of water, okay? Yeah. So they flush it with all this water, but now their storage tanks are filling up, and they have to start letting some of this water go. They pump in the water now to use to cool the reactors. Again, the United Nations has a little group called the International Atomic Energy Agency. They're going to allow Japan to release the water into the sea after diluting the radioactive elements to safe levels. They claim that they're taking it to levels that is even lower than what's naturally in the ocean right now. Okay.
It's possible depending on how much water.
Oh, I have no idea if it's possible, but nothing sounds good about this.
Yeah. So I think Kenny could probably tell us better, but I think the way these work, right? You have imagine kind of like almost like the fidget spinner shape. Well, I guess it's a little. Well, I'm going to use a 3-prong system. So each one of those is like a pool, like just an open cylinder with something in the center that's just a reactor that spins like crazy.
Right.
When those overheat, what they do is they fill that fidget spinner
with water.
With water to cool it down.
Yes.
And by doing that, you could cool it down without having it stop. So the problem with not having it stop is you're still giving off a radioactive frequency or material, I guess, that just seeps into the water, even though it's cleansed, even though there's a complete barrier in between the two.
Yeah.
Here's my only argument to that is I'd be curious to see how much higher the water is than normal, because it depends on how long the water's been in there for.
Well, since 2011, they've been doing this. They've had to cool it down. So I don't know why all of a sudden it's filling up, and unless they have to, it's so full of.
Yeah, unless that means that maybe it doesn't take that much water to fill, or maybe the pool's just giant, but that would mean that water has been sitting for a long time. And then it keeps getting hotter and hotter and hotter, and then now it's at the point where...
Well, I don't know if they flush it. I don't know if they recycle that water and keep using it to cool it, and now it's gotten to be too much. I don't quite know how it works. But having said that, I don't know that I would trust anything coming out of the UN as being okay. Any agency out of there, because they screw up a heck of a lot of stuff. No. They screw up a lot of stuff.
Into our English fans. I don't know where that joke comes from. But.
China has blasted Japan over this and has blocked food from Fukushima and 9 other areas of Japan. So China that's desperate for food, if they're using that as an embargo to get them to not do this, I'm guessing that it's not. And by the way, we just talked about China being a major polluter.
Yeah.
Okay, so as long as it's not the air, all of a sudden they care. We're not the majority
anymore? Right. Go for it, please.
Yeah, the air you can pump up as much crap as you want, but don't touch the water.
I want to see if they have a picture of the actual...
Of a reactor?
Yeah, of the reactor. Let me see if I could...
Well, I'm sure there's a schematic that shows how does water cool a reactor. It'll show you like a cartoon of it, but...
Oh, those are the water tanks.
Yeah, okay. The storage tanks. So I don't know. I guess they could use them and store them.
1 million tons of water. So I see. So it's not so.
So they must use it and store it. They can't keep using the same water.
Yeah. So I guess now they're just keeping the storage, and now their storage is backed up after all these years. That makes more sense than making it sit in a pool. That wouldn't make sense because that would overheat.
That's a pretty scary thought. That's how much stuff comes out of nuclear, and we don't know how to.
Isn't it funny how even if they dump that in as it is, it would probably have very little effect on the ocean just because of how big the ocean is. It would suck in that little area. I definitely wouldn't fish in that little area, but.
Well, I don't know if the water is more contaminated than others because they had that earthquake, and it has more debris in it because, there's more than one nuclear reactor in the world. There's lots of them, and they must generate a lot of this extra water if that's how it works. So I don't know. I have to do a little bit more research about it, but I think after the 2011, yeah.
God forbid you get fish with more meat in them. Come on.
Oh, jeez. I think of the Simpsons, where the whole town's nuclear.
Yeah. Where everyone's
dumping the water. I shouldn't laugh. It's sad.
Yeah. Where do we want to go next? I don't have too many because, again, as I said, I haven't been here, but. Elon Musk, going to Twitter real fast, Twitter news, he just paid out the first creator program fund, which is awesome. This is a good thing, even though the article makes it seem bad. So basically what he did was he had a creator program. So for all of us who have been making content for the most part, we now get paid on that content. So what he did was he pooled all the ad revenue money and split it amongst everyone with the blue check mark who's a creator. So if you have a creator. Now, unfortunately, I'm not one of those.
But Andrew Tate made $20,000.
Yeah. So I don't know how that separate. I mean, there's got to be a way how it does it, like how it knows like who to give the most to based on views and numbers and stuff. But the only problem, and this was the problem that we expected with the blue check marks, right? So even though it's a bot account, some people. So one thing that he did successfully was he stopped the botting. So botting has been at the lowest it's been in quite some time.
Okay.
The downside is the people that are still botting are paying for an account for the $8 a month or whatever it is.
And they're considered creators and they're going to get money.
Right. Oh. But I would say having one bot is better than one person having 50 bots.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to have some degree
of
it.
Yeah, you're going to have problems. It's not like this was a foolproof solution, which these articles are like, one guy got money that he shouldn't have. Right. Elon's the bad guy here. It's like, what? Yeah, so.
Well, I would like to make a comment, too, because I watched the Andrew Tate video with Tucker Carlson as we were talking about it.
My mom was thinking of shaving her head this morning.
I really was. Well, I mean, I know, I was aware of Andrew Tate, obviously, and some of the things he said. And I will say it's a very interesting interview. I learned a lot more about him. And I know it was probably watered down because it was for a general audience with Tucker Carlson. The alleged and human trafficker, if I base it on what Mr. Tate said, there was nothing about rape.
Yep.
So that's been thrown out there and it's been picked up by media.
I hope he
and then make it
everyone for defamation.
Yes.
I really hope he does.
Now, human trafficking, he doesn't dispute that that's the term that the Romanian government is using. But what he is saying, and I clarified this is what he is saying. I didn't hear from the Romanian government. I didn't see any official documents. They're calling it trafficking because the government says he coerced some women to post something on a platform, and he was Andrew Tate was going to make money on it.
Yep.
And according to Andrew Tate, he has not made any money, and they can't show any receipts that of cash that he's made. Yeah. And both two or however many women have said, no, he didn't coerce us to do it. But it doesn't matter because that particular government uses different parameters of what they want to say. I only say that because I see that alleged rapist and human trafficker on Salon.
Yeah, it's again, Salon, you gotta be better. That's just a bad headline.
Well, or I'll play devil's advocate. Justify that for me. Alleged. Well, you can allege anything about somebody. As long as you stick alleged in there, you can say anything. But where's the proof of that? Are you just picking up what everybody else has said?
Exactly.
It's kind of silly.
And it sounds like the Romanian government's not. Their definition of human trafficking is not the general definition that we think of here in America.
Right.
Their definition of human trafficking is just making someone do something for a financial gain. So like slavery, like child slavery would be under human trafficking. So it's very they have worse blurred lines than we do on something like that.
Well,
it's not as common, I guess.
Keep in mind, even if it's true what they said, we're talking 2 women or a handful of women. We've just established that 85,000 children have been lost over our border. If you've been
watching Mel Gibson's new movie too, that kind of opens your eyes a little bit.
Well, Sound of Freedom is getting a lot of attention right now, but that is also
CNN tried to say, "Oh, it's so misconstrued." Like freaking CNN. I don't know how anyone watches.
Well, a woman from our government, from HHS, came out. She monitored this. This was months ago. We talked about this, and she came out and she said we've lost track of 85,000 children, and they found children that are in a house that are not related to the people that are in these houses that the government shipped them to. But on top of that, the current administration stopped the DNA program. Yeah. When you come over the border, they would DNA test every child with the adult that came with them to make sure that that's the kid that belongs. That's his family.
Why is Jorge coming in 6 times?
No, that's it's also to verify that he belongs to that person. He's
not being kidnapped. Yeah.
Why would you stop that program? And the current administration did. Well, because you want to lose kids. Having said that, they're making it sound human trafficking. Okay, great. It's a terrible thing if that proves to be true and blah, blah, blah. But it kind of gives you a little bit of perspective. 85,000 kids.
My argument would be if the stuff that's there was true, you would not be seeing his face this much. Like, he would be under insane... In Hungary? Romania? Yeah, anywhere over there. He would be on lockdown 24/7 until this.
Well, he is. He's in house arrest.
Yeah, but he's still doing stuff with Tucker Carlson. Like,
people could come in, but he can't go out.
How many times did Harvey Weinstein do interviews on his way to prison? It's insane. But anyhow, back to this. So the new revenue sharing program, it's great because it finally helps out the content creators that the original Twitter, back when Jack Dorsey had most of it, or whoever was running it. They didn't have this. So we're definitely moving towards the future of Twitter being more of a platform for creation rather than just a post and run away.
So how do you know somebody's a creator?
So when you make a profile, you just put it under creator. Like, there's certain hashtags that are, or not hashtags, but certain settings for like public account or private account, and then you just you set it for I'm a creator or vice versa.
But don't you have to do something physically on your site to justify being a creator?
Content, yeah. You can't just like posting just like posts or nothing. But if you're posting videos and content that you've created and not just like reposting.
Okay, so if you post this on Twitter, you're a creator.
Yeah.
If I repost it on my site, I'm just reposting something that Pancake
you're not
did.
the one. Yeah, you're not the one making it.
Okay.
Yeah. So it'll link back. Like, reposting just links back to my site anyway.
So I gotta believe that creators generate ad revenue.
Yep. So he took. So literally, he took the ad revenue.
Yeah.
He said, "Hey, listen, I know we need the money, but we got to get this creator program started."
Right.
So he just split. Okay. I don't know how much of it. Maybe he kept 20% of the ad revenue, but even then, the fact that anyone got a single dollar is better than we've ever had before.
Okay, so there's a business model behind it. It makes sense that's if you want to grow, that's one way to grow what he needs to do, the ad revenue.
For what I know of what he's going to do with Twitter in the next couple of months, I mean, Twitter's going to be changing quite a bit, so that's a good thing. Twitter, it's about time. Twitter's. I think he's going back to the roots of Twitter in the sense of let's bring it back so we can build it up and then push the final product out. So I think this next couple of months is going to be pretty exciting.
Well, and I think the Twitter part of that, what I said before with Tucker Carlson and the news media with Patel, somehow Twitter's involved.
Yes.
Not just as a posting.
Gotta be careful with what I say.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, that's fine. But I mean, that's common knowledge now. There was an article about it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I just don't know how far.
So yeah, I mean, that's good to.
It's weird having like knowledge that no one else has.
Yeah. Well. Maybe you're not supposed to know it either. But yeah, no, it's an interesting study in how to take that particular social media platform.
I'm happy where this is going because now it's not just a social media platform anymore, which is what the original goal was. So this is the start of, hey, we can start taking down. You're not going to take down a YouTube, right? I don't think it's possible at this point. but you're going to start taking out some of these news outlet channels. Here's the problem, right? And this is realistically what I think is the bigger issue in the grand scheme of things is, as you saw, I don't know if we talked about it last week. Oh, no, we couldn't have, but Zuckerberg came out with Threads.
Yes.
Which is like
supposed to be the answer to Twitter.
Answer to Twitter, right? So like their version of Twitter. Mm-hmm. Now, there's nothing wrong with competition, and Elon's suing for a different reason, which is literally like, hey, you literally copied the idea. And I'm on Threads right now for the new stuff and for posting content.
Is that common knowledge that he's suing for that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know if you were saying it. You're not supposed to.
No.
I think it's common knowledge.
So Elon is suing, and it's just for copyright purposes, like just because Zuck basically took his idea. But here's the problem: Twitter's become deemed as alt-right, and now when you go on Threads, it's alt-left.
Yeah.
Right. So now you've created two separate apps based on political beliefs, instead of, hey, we want an all-in-one app.
Well, I'm going to challenge that.
Go ahead.
Twitter's open, as far as I know, to not everybody, but 99%.
Yeah.
Either ideology.
Well, yeah, but what I mean
Facebook will censor the conservatives. That's the difference. It's not by choice.
Public, but I'm saying like whether even if they were both open to just whatever, because of who's on Twitter and who's on Threads now, you've just made a bigger divide. So now for the average person, it's, am I left or right? Like, am I Democrat or conservative, or Democrat or Republican?
Conservative or liberal is a better way to say it. Yeah.
Conservative, I would go to Twitter because
you're not going to find them on Threads.
Threads, yeah. And you could make the argument, even though I know this isn't true, that the left is gone on Twitter, which again, I don't think that's true. Right, yeah, it's not. So I'm just saying, for example, your take Rumble for instance. Rumble was just supposed to be the next YouTube, and then it just ended up becoming a conservative site. Like that's all it is now.
Right, because at the time they had nowhere else to go because Twitter was corrupted,
so
for lack of a better word.
Dominating politically one app, both sides, doesn't matter, and now we have a skew again. So now with what's going on with Twitter behind the scenes, we're doing that all in one idea. So that's what I think Elon's going for.
Right. I mean, that's what it was supposed to be, but people are just, until...
I don't think Zuckerberg's ever... it's tough. Because technically, when he did the Facebook gaming, all the creators got paid somehow. I don't know how. I don't know what it's based on. But, what was I saying?
Well, I think we've learned from Twitter that if you're not an open platform, it's going to cost you, regardless of your ideology. Yeah. So Twitter is, like I said, it's not 100% open, but it's an open platform, or it's now more open than before. If the competitor, whether it's Threads or whatever, if you're going to just cater to one audience, you better hope that's one big audience. And liberal tends to not be a big audience by historical purposes, because I told you, liberal media like radio and whatnot, it never succeeds.
Oh yeah, never.
It winds up having to have government funding, like NPR and all the others.
I don't know how Howard Stern's still going on Sirius. I'm surprised he hasn't freaking moved from Sirius XM or whatever. I think he's the only thing on there.
Yeah, I don't know anybody that's on anymore and that would care, but
I'd like to see those numbers too.
I'm sure they're posted, but
I have to believe that that's not.
So I'm just saying, regardless of your ideology, if you're not an open platform and open to that market, you're shrinking your market. Exactly. So, all these people that are being...
Yeah, I don't know, but here's my only question is, Facebook, again, you can make the argument that they are censoring, but even if you don't censor, it's really just whoever dominates that feed first, right? If you're going to have 60% of actual liberal people on there, it's going to be dominated by, right, they have 60%.
Yeah.
Vice versa.
Yeah.
So you just end up... You want the freedoms, but it depends on what algorithms are pushing. So is it an issue of censorship and is it an issue of censorship and the people on there, or is it an issue of algorithms? And I'm hoping that these chat bots or the AI bots can fix that.
But won't you get, if you have or lean towards one ideology, aren't the algorithms going to start to lean towards that ideology?
That's what I thought too. But like for me, for instance, for Twitter, I don't. If for those of you that follow me on Twitter, I don't follow anyone on Twitter just so I don't have an algorithm. I only post and leave. Mm-hmm. But when I go to the desktop version of Twitter, it's all like I only post gaming stuff. I don't know why I would be getting any politics. But my whole feed is just politics.
Oh, interesting.
So I don't know what's pushing what, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it sounds like an artificial
I think
algorithm.
I would say this across the board on all platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. There's something with the algorithms that have not been right for the last 10 years, but it helps certain people. Like, I don't know why certain people on YouTube have 10 million subscribers when a guy that has 10,000 subscribers but is posting more content, not higher. Like, I don't know what it's based on.
Well, I sent you an article months ago about the algorithms and the scam of them. So yeah, I don't know if you read it. I don't know
what it's based on. But again, the problem with the algorithms is the way that they try to, and I don't know how true this is, the way they try to not game the algorithm is no one knows how they work. So even if you go to someone at YouTube
how convenient,
and you say,
right? How do you challenge it?
It's So if you go to someone at YouTube, and many YouTubers have said, like famous YouTubers have said this, they said they'll go to when you get to a certain level in YouTube, like 1 million subscribers or whatever, you get a YouTube contact that you can call, and like if there's a problem, they'll talk to you. We're not at that point yet, but like you can ask, hey, why'd this video get flagged in the algorithm? And literally they will not know. No one will know. It's like, what basis is it?
So why bother having that person?
But then the question, it's for like, hey, this video got taken down. Can you reinstate it? Certain people could do that.
Like
but you can't say like, hey, why was this flagged for inappropriate behavior or something?
Right.
That's based on algorithms, and no one knows how the algorithm works in the sense like that. Like that's the question: is that a good thing? No one knows how it works, so no one can game the system. Versus, would you rather someone know the system and just game certain people? You could make the argument that when you look at some of the most successful YouTubers, streamers out there, what's it based on?
Well, I'll challenge that also based on what you're saying. Human nature being what it is, somebody knows how that algorithm works. And somebody can manipulate it. And I'm guessing if you have no political information, they're going to pick political information for you, and they're going to give it to you. So you would know best. What do you see? Do you see a particular consistent, like so 5 liberal and 1 conservative, or vice versa?
YouTube's pretty good in the sense of it doesn't give me very much political stuff.
Okay.
Even though we have a political podcast, which is kind of like whenever I post a video, it always says at the end of it, like videos related to this.
Yeah.
So I know that I'm in an algorithm because I used to not get that. It used to just give me my own videos. So that does help. Thank you, YouTube. But at the end of our podcasts, it's all news, and it's mostly Fox News. So it does cater towards a certain way.
Okay.
Yeah. But whenever I post a gaming content, any gaming video, it only gives me gaming and my subbed things because it knows I'm not subbed to any news outlets or anything. So it's kind of.
But if we talk about, say, climate change.
It'll give me so at the end of this video when it comes out, it'll give me like probably because of the way we leaned on it, it's probably going to give me both.
So somebody is going through.
There's an algorithm going through, not somebody
that looks at. Okay, so let's assume that there's an algorithm that goes through and picks words that I'm saying,
and probably jumbles it up somehow
and says based on the number of times she says Tucker Carlson,
right,
I'm gonna get Fox News.
I think that YouTube's algorithm works, but it's very out of date. I think what they did was they used Google Trends as their algorithm. So Google Trends is like if I was to type something in, here, I'll show you Google Trends for those of you that want to know what Google Trends are. This is how we look for a lot of our hashtags. So if I was to look up how a word is trending, so let's take
transgender.
Yeah, so if I was to do transgender, it would tell me how it's polling based on statistics. So like over time, it tells me if I'm in Pennsylvania and I put this hashtag in, there's a good chance that it's going to
100% chance that it's going to
do better than it would in Pennsylvania if I did it in any other state.
Oh, okay.
And then you can compare it. I don't really use the compare that much, but one thing I like doing is if I was to take this. This is always a mind bend to me. Ready? LeBron James.
Yeah.
So think of how famous LeBron James is, but so this is all of his. Right? How many searches? I think it goes by the millions, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
And then if I compare it to like Ronaldo, it's insane. Like it makes LeBron look so small.
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah, Ronaldo.
There's an A in there, but
so.
I think it's Ronaldo. ALD.
I spelled it wrong.
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Cristiano.
Well, that's really
for the
messed
love
up.
of God. Cristiano.
Chris is having a stroke right now.
I can't spell his freaking stupid name.
Ronaldo.
There we go.
Cristiano Ronaldo.
I'm sorry. I've never even seen him play a soccer game. I said it. But if I was to do both side by side. Oh, okay. LeBron's actually up in comparison to Ronaldo. I don't know who's more famous, but like when I put in BTS, like it was in. Oh yeah, so see, like they beat out LeBron in this regard. But when they first came out, like during the big hype, like LeBron was like a flat line.
But also too, because this is just 2 days.
Yeah, you would do.
And soccer's not in.
Yeah, that's true.
And basketball's not even
just,
going right now.
Summer past 5 years. I mean, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so LeBron had his height back in 2020 or whatever.
In April, which is during playoffs, right? Or during finals. So
but think about it. BTS, like, just think of the boy band. You know what BTS is?
I know
That's the boy band.
Korean band.
When they first, like, started really popping off and being super famous, like, LeBron was just a flat line while they were, like, way up here. I was like, oh, my God.
Right.
So, but, yeah, so back to algorithms. I think within the next year, once we have like all of the chat GPTs and stuff settled, and like everyone has their own or whatever, I think those are what's going to be used for the algorithms from now on, which would make more sense. I mean, you just have to do it that way if you have something that can do it that way.
We'll see. I think you'll start to see more and more stuff coming out about what really goes into these algorithms, like what the story is. I don't think it's as random as you think.
Yeah, I like to think that as a content creator who just makes gaming content, except for the podcast, I'd like to think that I have a fair chance, but who knows. FTC loses bid to extend freeze on Microsoft-Activision merger. They finally did it. They managed to acquire Activision, basically. I don't know what this means. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I think this means, like, even though Microsoft said we're not going to touch Call of Duty, which is really all they care about, I think they're still going to do it. So I think Call of Duty will eventually, within the year or two, become an Xbox exclusive, which is going to kill PlayStation. PlayStation's just going to have to become it. I don't know how this doesn't fall under Monopoly. Yeah, I really don't.
They're coming out with the PlayStation
I know that they keep. Right? Yeah. I don't think so.
Yes, I saw an article about it.
Did they start?
They were doing another PS whatever.
It's going to be a Slim or something, isn't it?
I have no idea.
New PS5, let's see. I should say new PlayStation.
Yeah, it's a new PlayStation.
New. It's going to be a Slim. How much you guys want to bet?
It has no limits.
Is there a new PlayStation? Technically, yes.
2023.
Whatever Project Q, handled barcode, 5 games. Oh, it's a portable device. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, I don't consider portables consoles. I'll give it to the Switch, but that's just because they're one of a kind. Anyway, I don't know what this means for all the PlayStation players, because if no one's playing Call of Duty on PlayStation, I don't know what they have except for single player games, and not everyone wants to play single player games. I understand,
right?
But I don't know. The gaming industry is about to get very weird, so I don't know how the FTC loses. I don't know who allowed it to continue forward.
I don't know enough about gaming to say good, bad, or indifferent, right? I mean, I know you told me single player, not everybody wants to do that.
I don't think this is good. I'm gonna be. I don't mean like I'm saying it's not good. I'm truthfully not sure. I don't know what this means.
I'd have to see the article.
I'd have to throw. I have to look more into the actual. It says Microsoft's bid faced regulatory scrutiny for months because they were trying to get a monopoly, essentially. In the U.S., the Federal Trade Commission sued to block the merger, and made its initial case during hearings for a preliminary injustice last month. Injunction, sorry. District Court Judge, whoever, denied the FTC's request for that injunction Tuesday morning, saying a temporary restraining order against the deal would expire Friday. The FTC asked Corley to extend the restraining order pending appeal. She denied it. The agency also asked the Ninth Circuit to block the deal pending the appeal, but the court has now denied that as well. So, I guess they have Activision now and all the rights to Activision. I don't know if this is good.
Well, they're still appealing it.
Right, but at this point.
But there's little to stop Microsoft. So the FTC is going to appeal it to the next. What are we up to? That was district court. I'm trying to think what's the
district.
Probably in the if it's a federal, it goes through the. I don't know. Would you take this to the Supreme Court? I don't think the Supreme Court would hear this. Yeah.
They probably. After hearing the Supreme Court, I mean, I know it's not ours, but like after hearing them with all the questions on Facebook, you have to move closer to your mic. Move the mic to you. With all the when they questioned Zuckerberg, and I heard their questions, they're not going to have any idea what this is.
Well, no, that's not the point. The point is that if a higher court doesn't take the case, right, you can't appeal it. It goes by the lowest court's last decision. That's why they're saying odds are it's going to happen. Because you're at the Ninth Circuit Court, I don't know what goes after that. I mean, to me, it would go to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme, I doubt they're going to hear something like this because, to your point, it's unless they look at it as a monopoly situation and having, federal. I mean, because big companies, they might consider it, but I don't know what the next step is. If they're still appealing it, they'll wind up just going with what the lowest, highest court's decision. Right. So if that's the case.
Yeah, so I think PlayStation's going to eventually become... So, one of two things. PlayStation's going to focus on a new multiplayer game, which is not a bad thing because everyone's getting sick of the same Call of Duty every year, essentially. Or it means the opposite. PlayStation's only going to be single player from now on. So, if you like single player games, you can play their games. But that's why...
Wouldn't that make sense, though, if they're going to a handheld? Maybe that's why they're doing the handheld, because that's more single player based.
Yeah, maybe.
And that might be, they might have been anticipating what was going to happen here and said we need something to enhance the single player experience.
Yeah. So this one's a quick one. This is going to bother a lot of our viewers. So I've never heard of this before, the Arkhamverse. I've never heard it described as this. So there's a couple games in this world that are considered masterpieces, and I believe that I'd have to check this, but I believe that the Arkham games are technically fall under that. So you have 3 Arkham games. You have Batman, Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and then, which is the last one, Arkham Origins. Fantastic games, but they only made 3 of them. Then, if you remember, you might remember this, they made a Gotham Knights game.
Yeah, I see that.
Oh, does it say? Oh, yeah,
I see
Gotham
that listed.
Knights.
Gotham Knights can attest to.
You whacked the shit out of that? Let's see.
I did, sorry.
No, you're good. So they made Gotham Knights. Now, Gotham Knights don't fix what's not broken, right, Mom?
It's true.
And that's what this is.
If it ain't broken, don't fix it.
It's such a shame because let's say you didn't want to do Batman anymore, like the mechanics of Batman. The DC universe is so big. I don't know why no one capitalizes on it. The Flash, the movie, just did terribly.
Yeah.
The new Aquaman's apparently awful. The one that I think Amber Heard was supposed to be in, but let's be honest, she wasn't saving that movie. Yeah. And then, I don't know why everyone's sleeping on the DCU. DC Comics. Marvel's not that good. I'm gonna say it straight up. The movies, solid movies, but comic-wise, I mean, DC hasn't blown away. So I don't know why they keep ending. So the end of the Arkhamverse, they could get easily 100 more Arkham games that aren't even Arkham. I just mean that style. Like you could do a Superman one. I don't care if you do a Wonder Woman one. I'll buy it if it's like that. So,
I'll agree with all these comics, even Marvel, but DC also. How many Batmans do you have to do? There's plenty of other
superheroes in the DC universe.
Creative, you could take a similar hero villain, but generate new ideas.
Here's the way I see it. Batman and Superman are always going to be decent, right? Even if you have 50 of them, you can come up with a new story every time. You had one shot with the Flash. The Flash, one of the most important, probably the 3rd most important character in the DC universe, right?
Yeah.
Besides Batman and Superman. And you flopped it.
But that was a movie. I'm saying if we're talking gaming, let's focus just on gaming.
Sure.
You could do Flash games. But also, I mean, they really aren't different stories. It's the same story, just a different villain, the same concept. I was watching.
Guys, my mom hasn't played Arkham, but it's fun.
Well, I know I haven't, but when I watched the movies, back to that concept, it's kind of even the games, especially when your kids were little. It's the same story. There's a bad guy. They have their little gadgets.
You can make that argument, but you can say that about all video games. The good guy always wins in the end, right?
No, but here's the thing: like Aquaman as a game. Let's say it as a game. That's a whole different. It would take place all in water. I mean, that would be a whole different approach to a game. Make it interesting. You want to change it up and try something, being in a different environment. Now you got to take on fish. You got to deal with other obstacles.
The Arkham game, it's tough because the Arkham games are, even though it's the same story every time, it's different. I don't know how to explain it, but fundamentally, yeah, you're right. It's the same, but conceptually, the Arkham games, they're regarded as the best superhero games of all time, even though they're all Batmans.
I guess I've never really understood that topic. That terminology.
Arkham is
a fictional city situated in Massachusetts.
Yeah, the Arkham is where like Gotham City is the place Batman runs over, which is see, I always thought Batman was New York, but maybe I'm wrong. But Superman's New York, right?
Yeah. Yes. I'm not. Metropolis. Yeah. One is in Metropolis. One's in Gotham. Batman is Gotham City.
Yeah.
I don't know that Superman specifically New York. I think they call it like the Metropolis or something like that.
Something like that. But Arkham is where they put all the villains. So Arkham Asylum is the name of the prison.
Oh.
Yeah. So the Arkham games all revolve around Arkham City, which is where the prison is, where the people are. So the first game only takes place in the prison, which is sick. And then the second game, I'm sorry, there's 4 games. I'm dumb. So you have Arkham Knight, which is the big one. That's a different story. You have Arkham. So Asylum. I'm sorry. Yeah, I screwed up. I totally forgot about Arkham Knight. Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, Arkham Knight, and then Arkham Origins, which is when Batman was
the Elizabeth Arkham Asylum. For the criminally insane, commonly referred to as Arkham Asylum, is a fictional psychiatric hospital prison named after the city of Arkham, which appeared first in the stories of H.P. Lovecraft.
Oh, really?
And later appearing in American comic books published by DC Comics, commonly in stories featuring the superhero Batman.
Batman!
There's a little history for you.
Yeah, cool. I didn't know that it was an H.P. Lovecraft thing. It makes sense, but... Yeah, but those are regarded as there's very few games that are considered masterpieces, like it's an actual category.
Yeah.
And I believe Batman Arkham City falls under that. I think the rest aren't. I don't quote me on that, but Arkham Knight, still one of the greatest games. All 3 of them are considered the greatest of all time. Arkham Origins was a little iffy.
But then it's basically Batman related. If it's
all Batman related.
All Batman related.
But what I'm saying is the reason that they're ending the Arkhamverse, as we're talking about, is they've finished up the comic books essentially. You can keep going, but everything after Arkham Knight, little comic book knowledge, it's all like BS stuff. And
wait a minute, when you say they finished up the comic book, you mean the Batman stories?
The Batman stories.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they kind of threw everything in one.
Gotcha. Okay.
So they almost like speed ran the story of Batman in Arkham Knight. There's technically one more you can do on the Killing Joke, which is when...
But now, isn't this considered Harley Quinn?
That is Harley Quinn right there, yes.
She's part of the Batman universe?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought she was her own...
No.
The criminal...
Ready? So you know how Harley Quinn came to be? So Harley Quinn was the psychiatrist for the Joker when he was in Arkham Asylum.
Okay, I have heard this story.
And then she basically turns her.
Gotcha.
So...
But she's a bad guy, Harley Quinn?
Flip-flops for the most part.
Okay.
Like, but that's what I mean. So Batman's broken up into like 4 major parts, which is the origins of Batman. He has right. Then there's the Joker arc, which everyone knows is the longest. You have like the Penguin and all that stuff too, but you have basically the Joker arc, and then you have when the Joker starts winning, which is when Jason Todd, the second Robin, gets kidnapped by the Joker and murdered, and then he becomes known as Red Hood, or the Arkham Knight, who tries to kill Batman for abandoning him, essentially, like because Batman thought he was dead, but he comes back to life.
Okay.
And there's theories that he got touched by the Lazarus pit. You know what the Lazarus? No, your mom doesn't know that.
Lazarus pit. The Lazarus pit.
Wow, do you actually know what this is?
As in Lazarus from the Bible?
Sort of, yeah. It comes.
He was raised from the dead.
Yeah. So the Lazarus pit. Ra's al Ghul is God. My comic book knowledge is such a problem. So Ra's al Ghul.
Yes, it is.
So Ra's al Ghul. Well, here we go. He's a guy that lived for centuries because he would keep swimming in this Lazarus pit. So they bring him back to life. His daughter is Talia al Ghul, who has. I guess she marries Bruce Wayne, and they have a kid who's the fourth Robin, Damian.
Oh.
Right.
Oh, Damien the Devil.
Damian,
okay.
yeah,
That's
Damian,
not good.
Yeah, he's a problem child.
There's never anything good with
and
it.
then he accidentally kills
Which, by the way,
the first Robin.
Your uncle's name.
God. I don't know if he wants that out there. So I'll have to cut that.
Yeah, cut that one out.
So either way, where was I? So basically they took everything up to there and threw it into the first 3 games. The only arc they have left is called The Bat Who Laughs, which is when, and I understand why they don't want to make a game about this, but I think we talked about this on a podcast when we went on a comic book knowledge thing. But basically, the Joker kills the entire Bat family. So Alfred dies, all the Robins, all the Bat girls, and then a bunch of other people. And what ends up happening is Batman goes crazy. He finally kills the Joker.
Okay.
And by killing, because Batman doesn't kill, and it throws him over the edge, and he becomes the Bat Who Laughs, and basically he becomes like an omnipotent god and just kills everything.
Oh, lovely.
It's gonna be the first thing here. Yeah, it's not a good.
Yeah, we don't want that.
Yeah, but the problem with it is, how do you make a Batman game with superpowers? So that's what the Batman becomes. Right? He's able to resurrect the dead. Like, you can't. It's the arc no one talks about because it's kind of so out of. It's just crazy. So it's the Batman with the Joker's personality, but Bruce's intelligence.
Okay.
And it kind of killed. I don't want to say it killed the franchise, but this is what it finally looked like in the end. And then he ends up killing all the Justice League members, and then he kills the gods, which, again, I don't even know that much lore. But what do you do with that? You can't really turn that into a video game. So I understand why they're stopping the franchise. I'm sorry I completely derailed anyone that just wanted the quick answer. But what I'm saying is you don't have to end the Arkhamverse style of games. You can do it for everyone else.
Why not?
And have the superpowers that you want if it works properly. But killing the whole franchise and then coming out with the Gotham Knights game, which is ass, it's not fun. Oh, so the way that the Bat Who Laughs comic, right? That kind of ends it all, if you will. They kind of did a reboot, which is called Batman Beyond. Batman Beyond is with the first guy to take over the Batman costume, which was never. You would think that it's a Robin, but it actually becomes Terry Jones or something like that. I forget. But Batman's old at this.
Like more than I need to know.
I know, but
Batman.
Listen,
oh my gosh.
The comics for Batman. I forget. Batman.
You would explode if you went to Comic-Con.
Doesn't do it for me. Batman Beyond. I want to know. It's Terry something. I know his name is Terry, but Bruce is old at that point. So like many years pass. Oh. So basically, the way they continued it was they got rid of that arc, the Killing Joke arc.
Okay.
So it ends after Red Hood.
Okay.
So that's
Robin Hood
Robin that got
goes after Batman because he betrayed him.
And then there's a many-year gap. They're just fighting crime, whatever. And then Batman's like 60, so he has to pass the
skills
cowl, right? And I believe that's the Batman cowl.
Okay.
And he passes it to none of the Robins because all the Robins have kind of...
Don't give it away. People may not have seen it.
It's common knowledge in the sense of... Oh, sorry if I'm ruining it for you.
You're ruining it for me.
But, so he passes it on, and then Terry becomes the next Batman, and he does a good job. And then eventually, I think Bruce... They think he might have passed away, but I don't believe he does in the end. I think he goes underground because he just wants to hide, wants to live out his life underground.
Okay, here's the question, though. Given the world we live in now, has there been a gay Batman?
Cutting it out because we don't need that, but not a gay Batman, no. I don't think there's ever been any LGBTQ in the...
They've done it with Spider-Man.
They did it with Superman.
I'm sorry, Superman.
We don't touch no one's touched Batman.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, you know?
But there's a lot of people in the Bat family, so I don't know.
Well, because that one image you showed me had a real pedophilia look to it. With the dark Batman.
You're going to be like, who are all these people? Okay. Members. Okay, so the Golden Age, I don't know all these, but you have Alfred.
That's the butler.
Richard Grayson.
Yep.
So the first Robin.
Dick Grayson, yep.
Batgirl is
Betty Kane.
I don't even know that one.
That's the Chief Inspector Kane's daughter.
You're thinking Gordon.
Well, the first Batgirl was his daughter on the TV series.
Yeah, it was
in the
Gordon's
60s.
daughter.
Yeah,
oh, okay.
But they're calling her Betty Kane.
Yeah,
I know it's Kane. It was
so this is where it gets weird, though, right? So see how you have different Earths? You have Earth 1, Earth 2.
Oh, yeah, that's
so
stuff.
Now it gets
Okay, yeah, gotcha.
So you have... Basically, you have Robin, Batgirl,
oh, okay,
Huntress,
Silver. There it is. Okay.
Batwoman,
Yeah.
Catwoman, and Batman deceased. So in Earth 2, Bruce is dead. Then in the Silver Ages, you had Batman. So this is the one that we all know, that I grew up with.
Yes, that's what I know.
Whereas you grew up with the top one.
No, I didn't.
You didn't?
No, because Barbara Gordon, Batgirl, was Chief Inspector Gordon's daughter.
Yeah. So Batman, Batgirl, Alfred, obviously, and then Nightwing. So Dick Grayson is Nightwing at this point. Jason Todd is Robin. Betty Kane. I don't know Betty Kane. Batgirl.
That's another Batgirl.
Right, but there's Batgirl and then there's Bat... Oh, yeah.
I don't know Batwoman.
So Catherine Kane is Batwoman.
Yeah, I don't know a Batwoman. I only know Batgirl.
And then Ace the Bat Hound.
Don't know that.
That's a dog.
Yeah, I know, but that's not for me.
Batmite. I don't even know what that is. No. Expelled. I am kind of...
I don't know. Hold on. I don't know.
Is that Batman right there? Yeah. So he's like a little wizard guy. Fifth dimensional being.
I'm a mix of the first and second. I'll be honest,
because these are based on the comics. Remember the movies?
Right. Okay, but the TV show, because I know the TV show.
This is going to be yours right here, the New Earth.
Bruce
Wayne. Huntress, Batgirl, Stephanie.
Don't know Huntress.
Stephanie Brown, Sandra Kane, Black Cat. That I know. Tim Drake is the next Robin. Oracle is Barbara Gordon. So Barbara is Oracle because at this point she's paralyzed.
So she was Batgirl. Now she changes her name to
shot.
Oracle.
Yeah, because she gets shot.
This is not paralyzed. Me. Yeah, I don't know.
This is where the games come in. So Catwoman is Selena Kyle. That's my Catgirl. Or whatever.
Yeah, okay.
That's the one that Halle Berry plays, I believe. Pennyworth.
Oh,
Jason
okay.
Todd. Damian Wayne, which is the reason it says it's strange, just because this is after the when he becomes Red Hood.
Oh.
So Damian Wayne, there's the kid.
Yeah.
Jean Paul is Azrael, who that's a different one. Lucius Fox is the one that makes all the tools for him, the gadgets. He's the CEO of Wayne Tech.
Oh, because for us it was Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Not Bruce Wayne. Alfred. Alfred did everything.
Yeah. So later on, Batman sells Wayne Tech and hires a CEO because he couldn't do it all. So that becomes Lucius. Then if you keep going, this is the real one. So this is where everyone comes in.
Okay.
So Harley Quinn, as you can see, she's part of the
Harleen Quinzel.
So
okay.
Now she's a good guy. Ghostmaker, I don't even know who that is. Batwing is another one. Azrael, Red Hood, Bluebird. Who the hell is Bluebird? Alfred's dead. Faked his own death is Clayface, who I didn't even know. Clayface was the bad guy. It gets crazy.
Yeah.
It gets crazy. There's a lot of people. Yeah. So I just nerded out for a good 20 minutes. Sorry, guys.
What about the whole DC universe?
The only other one I have, which honestly...
Oh, you have another one?
Just one quick one. So, Diablo IV.
Yeah.
So we had their season. First season was fun. People are a little pissed off. People are a little pissed off about what they did. So, Mom, think of... I mean, we've talked about the amount of hours that all of us have put in. Not all of us, but you know what I mean. Everyone's put in crazy amounts of hours into maxing out characters and stuff. And literally, the next season comes out and they're like, yeah, you got to make a new character. You can't use the one that you've been working 200 plus hours on.
Oh, so they're adding new people to it that you don't have to deal with.
They're like, hey, you get to start over with a new character. It's like, what? So every season I'm going to have to put 200 hours? Like, if you're someone who has a job and a life and kids and whatever, you're never going to reach max level. Like, I don't know why companies have been doing this lately.
But doesn't that... But I mean, I can see why you do, because you got to change the game up. You got to make people want to do more.
Yeah, but you can change the game by adding more content. I should be able to use the same character that I've put 200 hours plus
maybe,
into.
but some people might be bored with the same character.
Right.
But...
Well, apparently they're making leveling a lot faster, which is great. But I think I've seen this happen like with the battle passes and stuff that we talk about. Mm-hmm. The problem with this, I feel like these companies try and make it so that this is the only game you could play because you won't have time for any other game. We want you to put all of your time into this game. I can't do that with Diablo.
But that's what they want them to do, Chris. That's marketing.
I understand it's marketing, but it's like
the goal.
Realistically, that's impossible to do. Like, for someone that has a job and kids, whatever, you're never going to hit max level.
The other way around. If people have jobs and kids in a life, they only have time for one game.
Fair.
So they're going to pick one that's perhaps the most challenging?
Yeah, maybe. Whatever you're into, Diablo's challenging in its own way. It's just like... And I'm sure they're going to add content, but it's just so annoying to put in hundreds of hours into one character, and then when the season comes out, they go, oh, yeah, you got to start over.
Yeah, that is a little odd.
That's going to bother people.
Yeah.
A lot of games have gone down this route. Like Kenny and Michael play a game called Rust, where every week it resets.
Oh.
I can't do that.
That's frustrating.
You spend hours and hours making your fort, and then all of a sudden, they're like, oh, in a week, everything goes away.
Yeah, no thanks.
I don't have... That's a waste of time to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I had. So be prepared, guys. Be prepared for your characters to wipe if you're.
How often do they do it? Every year?
Every season. Season's usually like 7 months.
Oh, not even a full year.
Oh, thanks, I went into questions. Why don't you play good games? Thanks, Laffy. Thought today was July 18th. I don't know what that means.
I thought today was July 18th.
Today's the 15th. You weren't even close, Critical. I mean, we've played some good. I don't know what games to play at this point. We're doing a super hard puzzle game next week. Oh, yeah. That I made you play many years ago. I wanted you to try it. I think maybe you should try it with me again. It's called the Talos Principle. Talk about a game that makes you think outside the box. It's insane. You're like, oh my god.
You've had me do a few that.
Yeah. Well, I made my mom do The Witness one time, and The Witness, that was the problem with The Witness is it's not like a hard game. It's only thinking out the box. So, and then it's not fun when you're like, it's just like, hey, how far out of the box can you think until something works?
Oh.
I felt like a lot of times you're just guessing until something works.
Yeah.
This one, it's like you can beat the level, but then there's stuff outside of the world. Like you can break it with puzzles to get even further out, and then you have to figure out like, how is this going to connect all the way in that corner to all the way across the map? You're like, how's this going to work?
Yeah,
well, that's fun because
as long as it makes sense. If it's
it does.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an overwhelmingly positive game on Steam, which is pretty rare. So I shouldn't say rare, but it's not common. Like, it's a good game if it has that. Whereas The Witness, it's like just positive, you know, like because people realize it's not about how smart you are and like how your critical thinking. It's just, hey, let's just throw shit at the wall till you figure it out.
See what sticks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel The Witness is in the later levels. But yeah. So I don't see any podcast questions. I was hoping for some. Talk about your So Wolf is our first ever member. So
really?
He joined.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, he's like, talk about your first ever member. I remember. So Wolf, I'll tell you about Wolf. So Wolf, he and his brother, Lamp, I knew them from that app that shut down, Melee, a couple months ago. It shut down. So we were some of the first members on there. And then I blew up on the app. Wolf didn't. It's okay, Wolf. I get it.
I was reading those other questions.
Yeah. Well, those are the ones that we've had before.
Yeah. What do you think about what does QAnon mean? Did we explain that to critical?
Yeah, we don't have to.
Conspiracy theories.
Yeah, that's it. It's not a...
I forget what the Q is for, but it's supposedly one individual that started it. QAnon conspiracy theories used to be like.
Is that?
I don't even think it's dark web. I think it's just a regular.
They're
trying to always figure out who is QAnon.
That's not the one in Russia, right? That's not the WikiLeaks.
Oh, not Julian Assange.
He's
WikiLeaks.
What's the other guy?
Snowden.
Snowden.
Yeah, no, he's not QAnon. QAnon's been around for a while, but it's originally I saw it as a series of videos that's Pizzagate and all that stuff. So they started out as being really, really out there, negative connotations. What's scary is some of their stuff is not that, as we're seeing now over time, it's not all as crazy. But there's some crazy stuff out there. So it stands for anonymous, but I forget what the Q is. So it's just like conspiracy theory, tend to be conservative ones or end of the world type.
Do we have any? Oh.
Crap,
I'm always scared to open the memes
right?
with you here.
Yeah, don't.
This is how we go. Let's see. The watermelon trick. Have you ever seen that?
Oh my gosh, I just saw it there.
You know what we should do though? I've been thinking of doing this because we have a memes channel. I think once a week we should have a meme of the week where someone posts the funniest one, and I'll go through them and we'll see the reactions. We'll go through.
Thanks, Crab Man. Yeah. That was entertaining.
Oh, I sent this one to.
You guys did not bring your monitors, nor did you bring your peripherals to play. So unprepared. Everybody, by the mouse and keyboard, I have extras here. We're gonna have to order 450 hertz monitors on Instacart. Instacart? What do you? Why do we need 450 hertz? Because they're not gonna disrupt my hardware and use your measly 60 hertz monitor. These are all water-cooled 4090 Ti's with a custom operating Windows system and disabled NVIDIA drivers. So use it wisely. I just want to play games, bro. And we're gonna do it very well.
That's me.
Gosh.
Whenever someone tells me they're playing on console, wait.
What seems to be the topic of discussion in between you lads? You just don't want to wait too long. Like we have a PlayStation and we have nothing.
God.
What about Discord? Bro, we have that now. What about when I start my movie screen share on Discord and you can't watch it because you got a PlayStation? Same room. What about when you want to listen to your favorite on Spotify, but you're in a ballot match and you want to aim train between your ballot match, but you can't even have two applications open because you're on a PC.
That's me.
God.
Whenever someone's like, "Hey." This was a good one too. Travis had a good one. I got that dog in me. The dog. He's like, ugh.
Oh my gosh.
But
poor
anyway,
thing.
we're already about an hour and a half in.
Yeah.
It was a solid one. Again, I'm surprised I got through that. I won't lie to you guys. I yawned a lot because I am super tired. I had to put an IKEA dresser today. IKEA dresser together.
I got a text message from Kenny at 5 this morning. I landed. You can go to bed now.
Oh yeah, Kenny.
Meanwhile, I've been in
last
bed
night.
since like 2.
Kenny. So Kenny left last night real fast. Kenny left last night and he took the cat. And Kenny's flight was supposed to be at 9. And because of all the delays that we've been telling you guys about, just
weather,
across the
he
world,
had a lot of weather delays and whatnot.
Kenny had weather delays. Kenny didn't leave till 2 a.m. and got home like in his door at like 5:30.
Well, and he told us if we don't board by 11, they're not going to have us go on this flight.
Turns out that was true.
So we kept waiting to hear if we had to go back and pick him up at the airport. So naturally, at that point, we were so in it. He was like, "Okay, next flight's at 12." I go, "All right, that's got to be the ones they cancel." So we stayed up. Then it was like 1:20. We kept going.
It's insane. Like the flying is just like it's not even fun.
Finally, it was just tell us when you board a plane. As soon as he said board, lights out. We went to bed. He thought I was staying up till he landed. I'm like,
jeez,
no.
Yeah. Oh, he thought you were staying up till 5?
Oh,
zero chance.
Go to bed now. Maybe he's joking. But
props to Matt Nee though for picking him up.
Yes,
Matt
thanks,
Nee,
Matt.
Again, you guys, Matt Nee hasn't been on the podcast yet, but he's Kenny's roommate and obviously one of our closest friends. I
think you did it for Kitty.
Yeah, we talked about him when Alan was here because he's part of the Home 4. Thank God for him picking Kenny up at 5.
Yeah.
For not falling asleep with the cat.
Yeah.
Oh, no offense, man. I would have killed you if my cat was left there.
I mean, 5 isn't that bad because the airport's not busy. There's probably cabs and
true.
whatnot.
Yeah, you could.
3
in
the morning.
Ubered.
I mean, that would have been really above and beyond. But still, it was nice for him to pick him up. And I was just laughing when I saw that text. Like, did he really think I stayed up while he was on the plane? Like, I should have lied and said, "Okay, go to sleep now."
Yeah. Yeah. All right, guys. So 54 done. Again, the only thing that I have to promote is the podcast from last week with Alan. If you haven't seen that one yet, go check it out. And then, as I said, I didn't post really anything. I just posted the video for a game called Ink. Okay, I could do this. Ink Illuminati. I think it was something like that. It was it's a play on Illuminati with ink. It was pretty fun. It's a cool strategy game.
Sounds like a Japanese fish.
Yeah, it was it was cool. It's like a drawing game. It's kind of cool.
Oh.
But you would have liked the art style, I think. So, but yeah, I posted that today, so you guys hopefully would have seen it by now. Social media down below, promo codes down below, other stream links down below, Discord down below. I do want to do the memes thing, so we need more questions, hot takes, and meme of the week we'll do, or like memes of the week. That's cool. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. So we'll end it there, and I'll see you guys tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard, and you'll probably see Mom next week. So peace.